Hey guys, it's Brianna here. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing some dark romance recommendations for you guys. This is probably, I think, my first time doing a recommendation video for y'all. And of course, this could not have been more perfect because if you know me at all, I absolutely love dark romance. It's probably one of my favorite genres to read. So I know October is right around the corner. So I thought it'd be kind of fun to show you guys some of my absolute favorite books that I have read. I know I'm going to be forgetting some. These are just the first ones that pop into my mind. I think I have 10 books to talk about with you guys today and I am so excited. I'm going to try and keep this as short and sweet as possible so you guys are not watching a 30-minute video. The only book that I do not own a physical copy of that I'm going to go ahead and talk about first is called Coin by Kay Webster. This is part of the Royal Bastards series. It is a, how do I describe it? Like a collection of books that are released by different authors. So each week a new book is released by a different author, but it is a motorcycle club series that is a nationwide chapter, maybe even worldwide chapter. I can never remember. I'll have to find that out. But anyway, so each book follows a different character within each chapter. So this one, I need to look it up. I can't remember where it is. I think Oklahoma. Yes. So this chapter is specifically Tulsa, Oklahoma. And it follows, I just want to make sure I tell y'all right. I can't remember if it says... no, it does not. It doesn't always follow like the president or the vice president or, you know, the treasurer, any of that. It just kind of picks like a random character within the chapter who has like a story to tell. But this series, I have very quickly realized just how messed up it is. It is very dark. I definitely do not recommend it for everybody, especially the very beginning of the book is extremely tragic. I was not expecting it. It is very detailed. I would definitely look up trigger warnings for this book. Really, any of the books that I'm going to mention, I would definitely do some research on it. I would give you guys trigger warnings, but I know I'm going to miss some. And for me, I like to go into books pretty much completely blind. I don't like knowing a whole lot of details. For me, also personally, I know this is not for everybody. I really don't have any triggers, so I pretty much can just go into a book and see how I feel. But I would most certainly look up trigger warnings for this, definitely for like abuse. Just to name one off the top of my head, rape is another one that is extremely graphic. Yeah, honestly, despite all that, I really love this book. I adore Kay Webster. She is one of those authors that she writes some dark stuff and she is not afraid to hold anything back when it comes to dark content. So take that and do with what you will. Just know it is extremely dark and not for everybody, honestly. Next up, I have another extremely dark book series. It is a trilogy. I have two different editions that I'm just excited to show y'all. Honestly, this is a extremely dark series. One of the most dark series I have ever read. I definitely don't recommend it for everybody. I would highly look up trigger warnings for this one. It's been so long since I've read them that honestly I can't even remember what they would be because it's been so long. I just remember the end of the series, and take that with what you will. I'm not going to give anything away. It is not a traditional end to a series, so just kind of keep that in mind. But it is the Black Lotus series. So book one is called Bang, and this is by E.K. Blair. Yeah, this series is extremely messed up. That's all I gotta say. But I do have the Mystic Box edition, and this is the whole entire trilogy. It is a hardcover copy of all three books, and I just wanted to show y'all because this is absolutely stunning. I feel like this totally represents the series. It is extremely dark and kind of dreary, I guess is the word. There's blood splatters all over the book. That's all I gotta say. This is extremely dark. I would do some research if you want to know more about this book, because I would not recommend this for everybody. But if you are a fan of dark romance, like you really have no triggers, you want something completely different that is going to mess you up, here you go. Read this one. I want to talk about one of my all-time favorite authors. I absolutely freaking love this author to pieces. She could do no wrong. She could write anything and I will read it. But I want to mention two books. So one of them is a book series and one is a complete standalone. So you can pick either one, but I'm going to give you a little bit more information about that. So let's just go ahead and get to the books. So, of course, I can't do any recommendations without recommending one of my all-time favorite series, the Hades Hangman series by Tillie Cole. The first book is called It Ain't Me, Babe. And, y'all, I think about this series all the time. This series is so stinking good. It is a motorcycle club set in, I think it's Austin, Texas, and it deals a lot with a lot of heavy topics such as slavery, the KKK, rape. I'm trying to even think of everything. There's some MFM in here in one of the books. We've got some representation. Our president is, I can't remember if he is completely deaf, but he does sign language. I can't remember if he's completely deaf or not. So that is just kind of an interesting aspect, considering he is the president of a 1% motorcycle club. So if you don't know what that means, a 1% motorcycle club means they go against the law. So they do things, you know, like drugs, you know, any of that would break the law. So they do not abide by the laws of our country. So just kind of keep that in mind. So to have a president of a 1% motorcycle club who, you know, they're supposed to be like this, you know, perfect, not, I say perfect, but that's not the word I'm looking for. Just like this, you know, really scary, tough man who has, you know, has nothing wrong with him, and he is deaf. So he has to rely on sign language and have his best friend Kai be his translator to help, you know, do the sign language and everything and communicate back and forth and all of that. But y'all, one of my all-time favorite series of all time. Absolutely love it. So, of course, I can't do a recommendation without mentioning one of my favorite books. I am not going to say this title because if you know me, I don't say words like this, but you can read the title for yourself. I have this book. It is a Alice in Wonderland inspired book. It is extremely messed up. This book is not for everybody. I've heard some reviews of people saying they did not like the content in this book, and I get it. I'm one of those. I eat it up. Okay, we have our main character, who obviously is Alice. They call her Dolly, I think. I can't remember. It's been so long since I've read this book. But she comes from a very messed up background, and they go on a killing spree. So kind of think of that. So think of Alice in Wonderland with some really messed up, like, characters who just want to kill because it's fun. So you can imagine just how crazy this series would be. But it's one of my all-time favorite books ever, and it's so good. Alright, next up I have another series that is pretty up there on my darkest books that I have ever read. I don't know if I would say it is as dark as the E.K. Blair series, if not, like, probably like middle ground. So this is one of the most messed up series. It is a 4-book series with a spin-off series, so I will mention both because you could read them separately and you'll be completely fine, but if you want to get the most experience, it's better to read this first series and then the next series. So I'll explain myself. So the series that I'm talking about is I don't even know what this is called, Benny's Dolls. But the first book is Pretty Stolen Doll, and this is by Kay Webster and Kara Ducky. Y'all, this series is so stinking good. If you want a really creepy book to read in October, if I could recommend any of them, it would be this one. I think the title kind of gives away what it's going to be about, but there's this guy called Benny who has this weird fascination with girls who have like the perfect body. He's weird, okay? Just know that. We have our main characters who for the life of me, I cannot remember because I read this series like a couple years ago. But we have two sisters who go to like this farmer's market and they find this like really pretty doll who looks beautiful and everything, and this happens when they're like really young, like younger, I think maybe like pre-teens. It's been so long since I've read it, but Benny like comes up and steals one of them like out of nowhere and keeps them captive. I think at one point it's both sisters, and wants to do like all this like creepy stuff to them, and he needs somebody who looks beautiful, but then the sister isn't as perfect, so he wants to fix her to make her perfect. I don't know, it's some messed up stuff, let me tell you. But this is one of my favorite series, definitely one for October because this is perfect. So the other series that I'm talking about that is a spin-off, it is the V-Games series. This is a mafia romance, so there's going to be characters that you meet towards the end of this series, and it's like their story in Russia, so it's going to be based in Russia, and it follows, I can't remember if it follows before this series and everything that happens, so you're going to learn how it's set up for this series, but in my mind I think of Russia plus the Hunger Games, but without like people going hungry, just people killing each other, because you know like how the Hunger Games is set up by districts, and it's but we have like families in the Russian world who fight to earn that honor of being, you know, the person to survive. It's literally the Hunger Games, but with like rich people. I don't know. It's only 3 books, so that is also really good. It follows different characters in each book, and this is also, it's not as dark as this series, but, oh, I'm holding it upside down, y'all, sorry. It's not as dark as this series, but it's pretty freaking dark. If you have read anything by Kay Webster, then you know exactly what you're getting yourself into. I have not read anything else by Care Ducky. I've only ever read these 2 series that they co-wrote together, so I don't know if her writing is just as dark, but pretty much everything that Kay Webster writes is extremely dark, so well, there you go. Next up I have another extremely messed up series that I would not recommend for everybody. It is the, I don't even know what it's called. The King series by Carrie Ann. This is a MC series. It is not a traditional romance story. Pretty much there is no romance in it. So just kind of keep that in mind. Like I said, I wouldn't recommend this for everybody. But her writing is very messed up. She's, of the MC books I've read, this is definitely up there in terms of messed up, so I would definitely look up trigger warnings for this one because it's got some messed up stuff in it. But it is a very good book if you want something completely different than a traditional romance, just something that's got some dark stuff in it, okay? That's all I gotta say about this one. Next up I have an author that I could not gush more about. Anytime I think of dark books, she immediately comes to mind. I absolutely adore this author. It is the 9 Minutes trilogy by Beth Flynn. Y'all, if you follow me on Instagram, you probably have heard me talk about this series so many times. This is another MC series. It's one of the darker ones that I have read. It's so good. It has an age gap romance. It's set in like the 80s, early 80s, set in Florida. And y'all, it's so good. I think about this series all the time. I always want to reread it because this story and Grizz, the main character, absolutely love him. I love this series. I don't know how to gush about it anymore, but this series and Hades Hangman, they're like my all-time top 2 favorite books ever. Absolutely love them. So we're getting towards the end, but the next one I have is the first book in the In Company of Killers, and it's called Killing Sarah, and this is by J.A. Redmersky. This is I think it's actually now ongoing. It was completed at one point, but the author decided to continue the series. But I have read the ones that are the most, or I haven't read the most recent published book, but this is also just another dark series. It's not like MC or Mafia. I don't think it's Mafia. I don't think. I just know it's dark. But this is a really good series. I do know that it deals with like, not necessarily like slavery, but like captivity. I think it's most of the series is based in Mexico, and I think it involves the cartel, or maybe not. See, this is what happens when you pick books to talk about, and this is why I don't give synopsis, because like this series, I haven't read it in so long. Yeah, a drug lord in Mexico, so the cartel. Anyway, sorry, squirrel moment. But this series is really good, super dark, absolutely love it. Is it one of the darkest books I've read? No, but it's got some dark content, so I would look up trigger warnings for this one, but it's really good. If that cover gives you any kind of insight as to what's going to happen, I mean, there you go. So there's that. And then last up, but certainly not least, I had to leave one of my favorites for the very end, and it is really any book by T.M. Frazier. This happens to be the bind up of her King duet, so it's King and Tyrant. It's just, it follows King, who if you have not met King yet, you are missing out. Specifically, King is not my favorite. Preppy is my favorite, and he's the messed up one. So if you really want to get the best experience, I would read King and Tyrant, and then there's another character called Bear, and he has 2 books. I always get the order mixed up, but it's Soulless and Lawless. I could have the titles mixed up. It could be Lawless and Soulless. For some reason, I can never remember which one goes first. And then Preppy has 3 books. So there's that. He is my absolute favorite. Him and his pancakes and his little bow tie. Y'all, you need to meet King, Bear, and Preppy because you will understand why. But I'm calling dibs now. Preppy's mine, okay? We're just gonna put that out there now. But y'all, seriously, this book is so good. I think this is also set in Florida. I do know it's a southern state. I'm almost positive it's Florida. But this deals with amnesia, obviously killing, because this is a dark series. Again, it's another series that I've read years ago. Also, trigger warnings for Preppy's books. Rape. That is a very big trigger warning in Preppy's books. So I would definitely, any book that I have recommended today, I would highly look up trigger warnings for them, because some of these books are truly messed up books, honestly. I love that series so much. But those are all, I think I gave you 10 recommendations of some of my very favorite dark romance books, or just dark books in general. I hope you at least found one to hopefully check out. Let me know down in the comments if you have read any of these books, what you guys thought of them. I know some of these have some very controversial, you know, reviews about them, so I would definitely love to hear what you guys think. If you guys have some recommendations of some dark books for me to check out, I would definitely love that. But if you guys did enjoy this video, I would love it if you guys gave it a thumbs up. If you are not subscribed, I would love for you to subscribe to my channel. If you would like to subscribe, make sure you turn on the notifications so that you know when I post again. I'm crossing my fingers that I can get onto a more consistent scheduling time. We'll see, crossing my fingers. But I will see you guys in my next video. Bye, y'all.